Hi, welcome to DfE Test 3. I'm going to run through the whole of the DfE test under time conditions. Okay, I will explain what I'm doing with the questions as much as I can as I'm going along, but obviously trying to stick to the time conditions, particularly in the mental arithmetic. It will be a brief explanation, but hopefully you will kind of see what I'm writing down as I'm going along. They will be the big hints really as to what I'm doing. Okay, so let's get started.
Practice question. In a mathematics exam, 3/4 of the total marks come from a written paper and 1/4 of the marks from coursework. In the written paper, 1/4 of the marks come from a mental test. What fraction of the total marks come from the mental test? In a mathematics exam, 3/4 of the total marks come from a written paper and 1/4 of the marks from coursework. In the written paper, 1/4 of the marks come from a mental test. What fraction of the total marks come from the mental test?
Okay, so you can see what I've written down, you can see the answer I put in. Really the main thing to talk about there is when you're doing an of question, so 1/4 of the written is mental. When you do of, it's a multiplication, so it's 3/4 multiplied by 1/4.
Question 1. In a year group of 110 pupils, 66 pupils have school dinners. What proportion of the year group do not have school dinners? Give your answer as a decimal. In a year group of 110 pupils, 66 pupils have school dinners. What proportion of the year group do not have school dinners? Give your answer as a decimal.
So I'm just going to get the answer in first and then explain it. Simplifying the fraction. Okay, it's really important with your notation that you understand it's a not question. So when I got to 0.6 at the end, I looked at the not and changed it to 0.4.
Question 2. In a year group of 120 pupils, 75% achieved a level 4 or level 5 in Key Stage 2 English. 65 pupils achieved a level 4. How many pupils achieved a level 5? In a year group of 120 pupils, 75% achieved a level 4 or level 5 in Key Stage 2 English. 65 pupils achieved a level 4. How many pupils achieved a level 5?
Okay, I'm going to put the answer in. The answer is 25. Okay, and hopefully you can see really what I've done on the left hand side. Main thing, changed 75% to 3/4. 3/4 of 120 is 90. Okay, and then subtract.
Question 3. In a year group of 120 pupils, 15 achieved an A star in GCSE English. What percentage of the year group achieved an A star in GCSE English? In a year group of 120 pupils, 15 achieved an A star in GCSE English. What percentage of the year group achieved an A star in GCSE English?
Okay, so again, it's a simplifying fractions question. You can either do 5s first and then 3s, or 3s and then 5s. Once you get to 1/8, you ought to really just know that 1/8 is 12.5%. It's essential.
Question 4. A pupil entering a Year 6 class has an actual age of 10 years 11 months. The report from his previous school states that his reading age is 15 months above his actual age. What is the pupil's reading age in years and months? A pupil entering a Year 6 class has an actual age of 10 years 11 months. The report from his previous school states that his reading age is 15 months above his actual age. What is the pupil's reading age in years and months?
Okay, main thing here, use your timeline. Okay, I've added 1 month on to take to a whole 11 years. Then I've added a year on. Now you know that a year is 12 months. So you can see that I've added a total of 1, 12 and another 2, which is the total of 15.
Question 5. A sixth form group raises £82.50 for charity. The money will be equally divided between 3 charities. How much money will each charity receive from the group? A sixth form group raises £82.50 for charity. The money will be equally divided between 3 charities. How much money will each charity receive from the group?
It's a pretty straightforward question as long as you're okay with bus stop method. This is ideal for doing bus stop, okay? And it's an important method anyway. Practice it, okay?
Question 6. A teacher attends a consortium meeting. The journey is 7.5 miles each way. Travel expenses may be claimed at 40p per mile. How much is the teacher entitled to claim for travel expenses? A teacher attends a consortium meeting. The journey is 7.5 miles each way. Travel expenses may be claimed at 40p per mile. How much is the teacher entitled to claim for travel expenses?
Okay, £6. Hopefully it's obvious what I did on the right hand side. The first obvious thing to do is to double the as soon as they say it's 7.5 miles each way, get that number doubled. Total mileage 15 miles. Times by 40, 600 pence, that's £6.
Question 7. A primary school has 60 pupils in Year 6. 24 of these pupils achieved 3 level 5s in the Key Stage 2 tests. What proportion of the year group achieved 3 level 5s? Give your answer as a decimal. A primary school has 60 pupils in Year 6. 24 of these pupils achieved 3 level 5s in the Key Stage 2 tests. What proportion of the year group achieved 3 level 5s? Give your answer as a decimal.
Okay, the answer is 0.4. You have to listen to the question carefully. It's not a not question, so we've got a simple fraction to simplify. Okay, there's various ways to get to 0.4. You can halve them, you could look at your 6 times tables. There's a bunch of different ways to get to 0.4 here.
Question 8. A teacher plans a school trip, which includes a 152-kilometre coach journey in France. As an approximation, 8 kilometres is equal to 5 miles. Using this approximation, how long is the journey in miles? A teacher plans a school trip, which includes a 152-kilometre coach journey in France. As an approximation, 8 kilometres is equal to 5 miles. Using this approximation, how long is the journey in miles?
Okay, so it's a fairly simple conversion. The numbers might not be your favourite numbers ever, but in terms of method, what I've done on the right hand side is about what you should do. 152 divided by 8 is 19, then we multiply by 5.
Question 9. For a practical task, a primary teacher needs 25 millilitres of liquid for each pupil. There are 28 pupils in the class. How many milliliters of liquid are needed? For a practical task, a primary teacher needs 25 milliliters of liquid for each pupil. There are 28 pupils in the class. How many milliliters of liquid are needed?
Okay, I'm just going to quickly put the answer in, but I'll show you on the right hand side. The 25, it comes up all the time. You need to think of it as a quarter of 100. You could even write it like this. So what you do is you do a quarter of 28, which is 7, and then times by 100. Okay, very important method.
Question 10. A group activity contains 2 tasks. In the first task, all 5 members of a group achieve 3 marks each. In the second task, 2 members achieve 4 marks each, and the other 3 members achieve 3 marks each. What is the total number of marks achieved by the group? A group activity contains 2 tasks. In the first task, all 5 members of a group achieve 3 marks each. In the second task, 2 members achieve 4 marks each, and the other 3 members achieve 3 marks each. What is the total number of marks achieved by the group?
Okay, so it's a series of multiplications first. We've got 5 times 3, 2 times 4, 3 times 3, and then those 3 numbers that I've circled, I've added them up. Okay, that's the total number of marks. Okay.
Question 11. A school trip is planned for 56 pupils. There must be at least 1 adult for every 8 pupils. What is the minimum number of people on the trip? A school trip is planned for 56 pupils. There must be at least 1 adult for every 8 pupils. What is the minimum number of people on the trip?
Okay, very simple ratio, 1 to 8 times both by 7, you get the 56 pupils. Where people go wrong, the question is asking the total number of people on the trip. So you must do 7 plus 56. Okay, I see so many people put an answer of 7 here.
Question 12. A lesson begins at 11:40. The teacher prepares a 10-minute introduction, followed by a 15-minute video clip, and then a 25-minute activity. At what time does the activity end? A lesson begins at 11:40. The teacher prepares a 10-minute introduction, followed by a 15-minute video clip, and then a 25-minute activity. At what time does the activity end?
Okay, timeline again. This is a pretty easy question, guys. You're adding 50 minutes on to 11:40. You can do a 20-minute jump and then a 30-minute jump. Oh, I better put the answer in. Or you could do an hour's jump to 12:40 and then come back 10 minutes. That tends to confuse a lot of people, so I don't tend to do it. Right, okay, so we're on to the second section. I'll be able to explain things a little bit more. I'm under a little bit less time pressure. Okay, so this question, we've got a ratio. We've got a ratio of 2 to 1 for charities X and Y. Okay, and this question is asking us how much we're going to give to charity X. The key to this question is that you must add these 2 numbers together to get 3. It's kind of almost like a that ratio, you can look at them as shares. Charity X is going to get 2 shares, charity Y is going to get 1 share. That's 3 shares in total. Okay, so we need, let's bring the calculator out. We need to add up the total amount of money raised. So it's £9.50, okay, plus £11.20, okay, etc. I'm putting the zeros on the end here. I don't really need to, okay, but I don't want to confuse anybody again. So I'm just going to type it in as it is in the question. Okay, so it looks like we've got a total of £56.10. Okay, so we're going to divide by 3. Okay, that is 1 share. So we've got 1 share, okay, is the £18.70. Okay, but Charity X is going to get 2 shares, so we double it. So we just take the calculator, double it. It's 37.40, this number over here. Okay, let's move on. Okay, let me just clear my screen. Okay, right. The most money per length. These are super easy, these questions. You just need to take the total amount of money. So student A raised £9.50, but is it swimming? Yeah, they swum 10 lengths, so easy. You do a division by 10. Okay, and the best thing to do with that is don't try and overcomplicate that. Just write that number down. Okay, it's 95p, but in a way you don't even have to worry about what it is. We're just going to keep doing this and pick the biggest number. So next one is £11.20 divided by 9. Now, it's boring, it's tedious, okay, but we just have to get on with it because it's an easy mark. Okay, clear the calculator. Next one, well look, next one, 1320 divided by 10. Really, we can do that in our head, can't we? Okay, now if you're comfortable doing that, it will save you a few seconds. If you're not comfortable doing it, then you're just going to have to carry on your calculator. Next one, £10.5 divided by 8. That's a little bit trickier, so use a calculator. Okay, now really I'm not going to even bother writing that number down now. I've got a winner at the moment of £1.32. I'm only going to write something down if I beat £1.32. So I'm just going to look at that and go, nope, it didn't beat it. Last one, £12.15 divided by 9. Okay, it did beat it, £1.35. So the answer is, can't say, E. Okay, so just look for, once you get a high number, just keep trying to beat that high number. And if you can't, that would be the answer. Okay, so we've got a simple bar chart. We've got 2 different years and different Ofsted reports. Okay, we're just got to read the statements very carefully, and we read them one at a time. So the first one says 68% of observed lessons were graded good or outstanding. Notice that the kind of writing on the y-axis, it says percentage of lessons. It's not number of lessons, it is already percentage. That makes this very, very easy. Okay, so 2011 is the pink bars, and we need good, which is this one. So we're just going to read this carefully. Okay, 40, 41, 42, 43. I'm going to jot that number down. Just bear with me. So we've got a 43. Okay, so that's good. Outstanding, a bit easier to read off, 25. Okay, you can use your calculator here if you need to, but that is indeed 68, so we tick that that one is true. Move on to the second statement. In 2011, the percentage of lessons that were graded good or outstanding. Well, what I want you to notice here, that's exactly what they just asked us for in the first question. Okay, 2011, good or outstanding, so we know that that's 68%. Okay, and it says was twice the percentage of lessons that were graded good or outstanding in 2007. So we just go to the blue bars and do exactly the same. So good is 21. Okay, outstanding is 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, and that's 39. Now, look, I'm a maths tutor. I can see that that's not double. Okay, but if you want to use your calculator here, let's just take that 39 and double it, and we get 78, not 68. Okay, so therefore it's a false statement. Okay, so make sure you use your calculator as much as you need to. Okay, so moving on to the last statement, the percentage of lessons graded inadequate was halved between 2007 and 2011. So ignore the halved bit, you go and get the numbers. So 2007 is the blue one, inadequate. It's this bar, first bar here, it's 16. Okay, next one, 2011, the pink bar, it's 8. That is indeed, it's been halved, hasn't it? Half of 16 is 8, so it's a true statement. Okay, right, so I do a video called special offer questions. So if you see on my website the video for special offers, it's exactly this type of question. Okay, and I teach a very specific technique for doing these special offer questions. Okay, so this B is the number that we're actually going to pay for. It's the number that we're going to buy. Okay, F is the number that we're going to get free, and T is the number that we're going to get in total. Now, it's very easy to go wrong with this. When it says buy or 5 packs for the price of 4, that's a different wording to things like buy 1 get 1 free or buy 2 get 1 free. So you have to be very careful with the wording. But this special offer, you get 5 packs, so we put that in the total, for the price of 4. So we're only going to pay for 4, so that we must be getting 1 free. So you can set it up like a ratio. Now, the next important number is, if you read at the top, we need 15 packs in total. In total means that we put the 15 in here, okay, and then you treat it like a ratio question, or even my conversions video, I do a similar thing. Okay, 15 divided by 5 is 3, so we multiply all of these other numbers by 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to pay for 12 packs of wooden shapes, we're going to get 3 free, that will give us our 15 that we need. Notice I hadn't even looked at the price of these objects or packs or whatever they are. Didn't need to. You've got to sort out that you need 12. So we're going to do 12 times £3.40, and of course we'll do that on the calculator. So 12 packs of wooden shapes at £3.40 each. Okay, it's £40.80. So I dragged that one in there. No postage in this one, so we're finished. Okay. Now the next one. Completely different. It's a very simple one. There isn't an offer. There is no offer at all. So really, you just go straight in and say, right, we're buying 15 packs at £2.50 each. Okay, so we plug that in the calculator and get that number jotted down. £37.50. Okay, that's the price. Now we've got to pay for postage though. So for every 5 packs, it's £1.60. Again, you could write this as a ratio when you're first learning this, if you're struggling with it. £1.60 for every 5, and we're buying 15. So it's another times 3. So we times this by 3. That's £4.80. You can do that on your calculator, guys. I'm just saving myself a little bit of time. And then we add these together. Okay. Again, do that on your calculator. Okay, look, I'm pretty comfortable with this kind of stuff. I can add this together. Okay, just use your calculator as much as you need to. Okay, so there you go, £42.30. Okay, lots of different names for these: box plots, box and whisker graphs. What else do they call them? I don't know. But basically, they're all the same thing. Don't worry about the wording too much. Lots of people call them whisper graphs. I've got no idea how people end up putting a P in there and calling it a whisper. The whisker is a little bit like a cat's whisker. You've got the box in the middle, okay, and then you've got the highest and the lowest, and then you put these extra lines in, and I guess they're a little bit like cat's whiskers, particularly when you do it horizontally. So no, they're not whispers, okay. Not that that really matters. That's all just words, okay. When you look at this, they're a good way of comparing either 2 tests or 2 classes or any 2 things really. Okay, and it is really obvious when you look at this that the highest mark was scored in test B, the lowest score was in test A. Okay, so just briefly, you know, with your box plot, when it's like this, you know, this one is the highest mark, okay, and this one is the lowest. That should all be fairly obvious. Range is highest, take away lowest. Okay. Now, sometimes you'll need to actually work out the range and do the numbers. You don't need to here. It's absolutely obvious that the range of test B is greater than A because it's longer. It's literally a visual thing that the highest and the lowest, they're much further apart than test A. So this first one is definitely false because it's suggesting that test A was greater than B. It's not. It's the other way around. So we'll leave that one as false. Okay, next question's very easy as well. It says the median mark in test B. Well, these little white lines, these horizontal lines in the box, are the median. So if we look at the median for test A, I must admit it looks a little bit weird on here. but that is going to be, well, if we start at 25, we're going to count up, okay? And we need to know how much these lines go up by. And I do see a lot of people getting this wrong, okay? Well, it goes from 25 to 50. Okay, in fact, actually, let's do it from the bottom. It's easier. If we start at 0 and go up to 25, that's a jump of 25. But it goes up in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps. Okay, it's important that you don't count the lines, but you count the jumps. Okay, so 25 divided by 5 is 5. So each line is 5. Okay, that makes it really easy to do this question now. If you look at the difference in the two medians, it is 2 lines. Okay, I'm just gonna zoom, well, not zoom in, I'm just gonna make that a little bit bigger because it does actually look not very good on the screen, if I'm honest with you. Okay, but it is 2 lines higher, so this one is true. Okay, I thought it might be because my screen is slightly squashed, but it isn't. It's just not very clear. Okay, now this next statement is the one that lots of people kind of get wrong. It's to do with the quartiles. Okay, so let's just briefly talk about quartiles over here. I'll do it in red. This is the upper quartile. Okay, and this one here is the lower quartile. And I'm just going to do another diagram. Let me change that diagram. A very good visual way of looking at a box plot is to split it into not just halves but into quarters. Okay, so I think most of you are pretty clear that this would be the bottom half of the class and this would be the top half of the class. Okay, but you can also split it into quarters. Let me just put that median back in, sorry about that. Okay, so this is the bottom quarter of the class, so this would be the top 3/4 of the class. Okay, but you could also do it this way round. You could have a look at the top quarter of the class and then you could look at the bottom 3/4 of the class. So you have to be quite careful with quartiles, much more careful than median. Okay, so this question says in test B 1/4 of the pupils achieved 75% or more. Well, that would mean that your upper quartile would have to be on 75%, and can you see as my cursor goes across, it's not, it's on 70. So the correct statement would be in test B 1/4 of the pupils achieved 70% or more. Okay, so this one's a false statement. Let's move on. Okay, scatter diagrams. You've got a median in this question. It's the third statement. Okay, a median is the trickiest bit to do. If you're not very sure on this, I really would, and this isn't a sales pitch, but I would recommend that you have a look at my scatter graphs video because I teach you thoroughly how to do medians. Okay, I'm going to teach it very briefly here because I'm under time pressure. So top one, 2/3 of the pupils spent 15 minutes or less on planning. Okay, 15 minutes or less. I'm going to count this dot is 15 exactly, so I count this one or less. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's 14 out of, well look, I don't need to count the rest. It tells me at the top it's 21. Okay, if we simplify that, okay, we would get 2/3. Okay, but if you're a little unsure on doing that, the best thing to do is to just do 14 divided by 21 on your calculator and you get that decimal and you copy it down. Okay, and then to compare it with 2/3, you put 2/3 in there and you get the same decimal, so therefore we can say that that's a true statement. Okay, now I'm not going to be able to dwell on this too long because I shall run out of time in the test. This is going to be a brief description of how to do median. Oh sorry, I've got to do statement. The second statement is range. So range for planning, this one here is the lowest, that's a 3. Okay, this one here is the highest, which is 25, and we subtract them to get 22. That's also a true statement. Okay, so median. Okay, basically the trick is if you've got 21 pupils, you have to add 1 first and then halve it. And as I say, this is all described fully in my video. Okay, so it means that the 11th pupil is in the middle. Now, this statement says the median planning time. So we go to this dot here again. This is the lowest planning time. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is the person with the median planning time. Now their planning time was 11 minutes, but the question isn't asking us about that. It's asking us to look at their final mark that they achieved. So I go across here, and it is indeed 54. Okay, so that one's also true. Bit unusual, I think, to get 3 true statements. Okay, I always double check things when I do that and check that I've read it carefully, but I'm pretty sure that I've done that correctly, so I'm going to move on. So quite a tricky topic, the medians. Okay, so if that's a weakness of yours, definitely go and watch the video and learn from it. Okay, best way to do these questions, okay, you've got 6 numbers. You mustn't add them together. You must do exactly what it says in the question. It says round the number of students in each class at each grade upwards to the nearest 5. So 13, if I raise that to the nearest 5, it becomes 15. 9 becomes 10. 5 is already a multiple of 5, so you leave it alone. 6 needs to go up to 10. 12 needs to go up to 15, and 9 needs to go up to 10. And then what you do is you just say, well, how many 5s are this? This is 3 5s, 2 5s, 1 5, 2 5s, 3 5s, 2 5s, and you add those 6 numbers together. Okay, so 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6, 8, 11, 13. Okay, these are easy questions if you do exactly what it says in the question. Okay, so it's partly about reading the question carefully. It does cause people a lot of problems until they get the hang of it though. Okay, you must round upwards though. It tells you to round upwards. Okay, cumulative frequency. All the pupils completed the test within the maximum time allowed. Okay, so if we read up here, it says the maximum time allowed is 50 minutes. Okay, yep, it clearly shows, okay, that everybody in the test, it's really this point here, it shows that everybody in the test got 48, or sorry, took 48 minutes or below. And if the maximum time allowed was 50 minutes, everybody completed it on time, so that one's true. Median. Look, again, this doesn't seem to be... There are some errors in the DfE tests and stuff, okay. This blue line makes it look as if there's about 31 pupils, okay. I think it's an error. I'm not really sure. I think we should presume that this is 30 pupils, and half of 30 is 15. You come across from 15 and then down, and it's 40. This is true. There's a mistake there. The line's not been drawn very well at all, I'm afraid. Okay, so but median is a very simple topic for cumulative frequency. If you go to BBC Bitesize, you'll see a picture straight away and it tell you immediately how to do the median. Okay, so no pupils recorded a time less than 29 minutes. That's, I think, fairly clearly false. If you go to 29 minutes and go here, it shows that about 2 or maybe 3 pupils scored 29 or less. Okay, so that one's a false statement. Okay, this is one of the quickest, easiest questions that you'll be given if you read the question carefully. Okay, it asks us to find the percentage point improvement. Okay, all of the numbers on the pie chart are already percentages, so all we've got to do is add them up. So if we look in 2010, we do an A star to C. Okay, so I'll bring the calculator out. We'll start at A star is 4, okay, and then 8 for A, and then 13 for B, and then 27 for C. Pretty simple. 52% in total. We move along to the other year, okay, 2011. We do the same colours but different numbers. We got a 7 plus an 8 plus a 13 plus a 28. Okay, now that's a slightly long way of doing it, but it's still very, very quick. We've got 56 and 52, so the difference is 4. The key thing is this question's got nothing to do with the numbers of pupils. Okay, a slightly quicker way of doing this is if you notice that the two pie charts, the brown and the green, in other words A and B, are the same. So you can see that the blue one has gone up by 3 and the orange one has gone up by 1. So it's gone up by a total of 4. That will be the quick and easy way to do it without using your calculator and without adding too many numbers up. But it's not always going to be that easy, so you may as well just use your calculator. Okay, exactly the same pie charts, okay, but the question is completely different. The question now is asking us for numbers of pupils, okay, so we've got to actually do some percentage work here and use our calculator. So we're only looking at one grade this time, A star, so the blue, 4% in 2010. I'm going to show you the quickest, easiest, most sensible way to get 4% of a number. Okay, from your mental maths knowledge, you know that 4% is 0.04. Use it, okay, and you just do a multiplication. They're called decimal multipliers. So you've got 4.2 pupils in 2010. You can't have 4.2 pupils. It's been rounded. It says at the bottom that it's been rounded to the nearest whole number. Okay, so it was 4 pupils. Okay, same for 2011. It's 7% this time. So 7% is 0.07, but it's of a different number of pupils. It's 116 pupils. So we go and put that number in. 8.12, round that down to 8. 8 take away 4 is 4. Okay, now again, look, I'm not trying to push videos, but some topics are much longer and more in depth than others. This is one of them, okay? Basically, look, I'm just going to do this on the calculator, and really it's a series of conversions, and in conversions you need to know whether to do multiplication or division. Okay, the first one is a division. That tells you how many gallons you've got. Okay, I'm going to briefly write this out, that you've got, if you do 32 miles in your car, you're going to use 1 gallon. Okay, so you can think of this as a conversion. You put the 350 here, and if you've done my conversions video, you should be fairly comfortable with that. Okay, so we've got 10.9375 gallons, but we can't buy it in gallons. It's priced in litres, so we're going to convert that. This next one is a multiplication. I'm not going to write this out, otherwise I shall run out of time. Okay, but we've got 49.72 blah blah blah. That's how many litres we've got. Now we go and buy them. Notice I'm not rounding anything. That's very important. You no need to round any of this until the end. And all you do at the end is you round it in the way that they've asked you to. They've said to the nearest pound. So it's 56. So you can see these are very quick questions if you know what you're doing. Okay? It takes a while to get there though. Okay? You must practice writing out the conversions. Okay? Right, these questions again, these are very quick and easy if you know what to look for. Continual trend. Continual trend just means it's going up by any amount. So we look at school A, it's gone up, up, then it went down. So we're not going to include A. B, it went up, and then up, and then up, and then up, and then it went up. So B is included. C, it went down, so we don't include it. D, up, down, so we don't include it. E, up, 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 up. We do include it. Simple question. Don't overcomplicate it. Okay, now this question looks a bit weird at first because you've kind of got these two graphs, but really all the information is in the question at the top. You've got 80 pupils, okay, and 52 of them achieved A star to C. So it's a fraction question, but you're turning it into a percentage. Okay, with a calculator, there's a simple method for doing that. If you do 52 divided by 80, and it's very important you divide these around the right way, okay, one of the most common mistakes is to divide the numbers around the wrong way. Okay, so what we've done is we've converted that into a decimal. If you want to convert it into a percentage, you can just do times by 100, although you ought to really, oh, something went wrong there. It was 0.65 times 100. I really don't like these calculators. They do throw weird things in. I'm just good at spotting it because I kind of know what the answer is anyway. Okay, it's definitely 65%. I'm sure all of you know that as well. Okay, so all you've got to do is you go to this right hand side graph, okay, and we pick the one. We've got to basically select the bar. Okay, so I've literally got to, I don't know what, I see, I've got to move it across. Yeah, it does tell me, I just needed to read it better. Select and place the correct bar. There you go. Okay, now these questions again, people get themselves in a pickle here with units and rounding. And again, you don't need to do any rounding until the end, and you don't need to mess about with the units. By far the easiest way to do this question is to just work out the cost for one person first of all. Okay, and you just have to read the question carefully about what you're buying. You've got 75 printed pages and they cost 2.5 pence. Now notice I'm not messing around with the 2.5, I'm copying it. All you've got to understand is the units. That is 187.5 pence, because that's the unit that I put in. That's not a problem. The ring binder is 75 pence. So again, I don't touch the number, I don't change it, I add it. So that's the cost for one person in pence. We're buying this for 125 students, so we times by 125. This is the total amount of money in pence. And a very common comment here, particularly when I've got one-to-one students, is, oh, that can't be right. It's too big. No, it's not. It's pence. Of course it's a big number. It's in pence. Changing it to pounds couldn't be easier. You divide by 100. There's 100 pence in a pound. Divide by 100. There you go. That's the cost, £328. But the decimal does look a little bit weird. You can't. One way I describe this is you can't put this in as your answer because you can't get 0.125 pence out of your purse. Or sorry, 0.125 pounds out of your purse. It's got to be rounded. Okay, so the correct rounding here is that it would cost £328.13. Okay. Now, one final step. There is a solution, an online solution, okay, that you could subtract 250 quid from this. So you subtract 250, okay. So our final answer is £78. Now don't forget what I did. I rounded the 0.125 up to 0.13. Okay, but this question makes it a bit simpler. Again, this is all about reading the question. It says give your answer to the nearest pound, so I just remove that. I don't even need it. Okay, but you might be asked to round that correctly as an exact amount of money. Okay. Okay, right. This involves some negative number stuff, which most QTS students don't really do very much, and it does confuse them. Okay, you can do it as a very simple number line though. Okay, now let me do pupil A first. Pupil A doesn't use any minus numbers. Okay, pupil A started. Oh, actually, my apologies. I've read the question wrong. I thought it was a different question. Right, I should have read it first. It's consistent trend. So we had continual earlier. Now we've got consistent. So consistent trend means it needs to go up by the same amount each time. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look. So A, 5 to 7, it's gone up, but then it goes to 7, so it hasn't even gone up. So we're not going to include A. B, 99999, it's not gone up. Now then, next C, minus 7, minus 7. We don't need to do any clever calculations there, it hasn't gone up. Now D is the first one, I'm going to click it. Can you see it's gone 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's gone up by 1 each time. That is a consistent trend. E hasn't gone up, F hasn't gone up, G has gone down. Now H is the tricky one, and I'm going to do it on my little number line over here. It's minus 7, then minus 5, then minus 3, then minus 1, then 1, and then 3. This has gone up by 2 each time. Okay. Now I think a lot of you would struggle with that. Okay. So you probably need to work on that a little bit and use a number line. Okay. If I just fill in the missing digits, it's kind of like, well, minus 6 would have been in there, minus 4 in there, minus 2 in there, 0 in there, and 2 in there. So you can see it's jumped over the green numbers, so it's gone up by 2 each time. So we're going to include H. If you look at I hasn't even gone up, minus 8 to minus 8. So it's just D and H. Now then, overall increase. So this test has done all three of the increases that they like to talk about. They've done continual, consistent, and now we're doing overall. Overall is the easiest one, and the one really that you ought to understand without any mathematical help. Overall just means first and last. Okay, so put it into context. If you were doing some tests and you did 5 tests in a row, what you're mainly going to look at is your first score and your last score, and look at whether you improved overall. So if we look at pupil A, January was 5, June was 10. Okay, so that has gone up. Okay, so that is an increase. Okay, so we click A. I can't click A this time. I've got to write down a fraction. So the best thing to do here is count up how many pupils in total. So it's 9 in total, and we just said yes to A, so that's kind of like a tick. Okay, so we're going to count up how many. Okay, so I'm going to do like a tally. So A, yes. B, no. C, yes, because it went from minus 7 to minus 5. If you look at the number line up here, as long as the second number is to the right, then it's gone up. Okay, so we're going to include pupil C. Okay, D went from 0 to 5. E went from 4 to 5. F went from 2 to 2. That's not an improvement. G, 8 to 8. H, minus 7 to 3. That's quite a big leap. That's quite a lot. That's gone up by 10. So that's another one. And then minus 8 to minus 4 has also gone up. So you can see from my little tally that it was 6 in total, and 6 over 9 simplifies to 2 over 3. You need to really do a little bit of your mental maths there and divide both numbers by 3. Okay, and that's your final answer. And I think that was the last question. Okay. Now then, this is always a moment of truth for me. I'll keep my fingers crossed that it's all correct. Okay. It would be easy to make a silly mistake somewhere. I have done it before. Okay, but so far so good. Okay, so there you go. That's DfE Test 3 done under time conditions. Pick out the ones that you struggled out most. You can always message me. Okay, you can email me or get hold of me on Facebook. If there's a particular type of question that you struggle on, I can point you in the right direction of a video, hopefully, to watch. Or if you really, really struggle with it, you could always look into maybe having a bit of one-to-one tuition with me, and I'll teach it to you on a one-to-one basis. Okay, so good luck. Okay, thank you.